The Chiefs are ready to go for the season sweep against the Denver Broncos in what might be the best pass rush in the league. I have their game plan coming at you right now. Chiefs and Broncos, second time around. It's going to be a big game and one that's fairly important. It's something new for a team to be able to play Patrick Mahomes in the same season for a second time. It's going to be an experiment. A couple of new wrinkles are what I'm expecting, and we're going to go through it note by note, point by point, and I'll have the keys for you here. If you're new, welcome to RGR Football. I'm Ryan, and I'm going rogue. This is me on the Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, all of the AFC West, as well as the NFL. If you like what you're seeing, give me that thumbs up, hit the subscription, hit the notification so you know when a new video goes out, and please leave your comments below so we can have a good talk about this upcoming game. And if you're old hag around here, I appreciate everything that you guys have done and continue to watch. I'm going to have some great stuff for you in the offseason. I got a couple new wrinkles coming your way too, so stay tuned. When we start talking about this game, it's tough to get past what's not going on in the game. And a couple of things are key. When the Chiefs look at the Denver Broncos, one player in particular that had quite a good day against them the last time out was Royce Freeman, who is not practicing at this point. So the Chiefs are going to get a little bit of a break there. He's a guy that broke a lot of tackles, embarrassed a couple players when the Chiefs were in Denver last time, especially on that end zone run. Very important that this limits what the Broncos are able to do in terms of their bash game. They still have a little bit of lightning out there, and we're going to talk about him later, but this makes them a little bit more one-dimensional in the run. So that's not the only thing that's going on in Denver. There's a whole lot of chaos going on off the field. Chad Kelly got arrested. It looks like it's going to live up to the charge, and so the Broncos have parted ways with their backup quarterback. And now that leaves them with Kevin Hogan, a name you might remember, as their backup, and probably their emergency quarterback is going to be Emmanuel Sanders, of all people. We're going to talk about him here in a minute, too. But looking at that game and all the turmoil that's going on, it's difficult for this team to get centered and get ready for the Chiefs. So I don't expect them to be at the top of their game just in general, but that's where I'm coming at. We're going to look at it point by point, starting right now. First and foremost, I think the thing that's been most consistent about the Broncos this year is their ability to use the running backs. Very good both in the air, catching passes, as well as on the ground. And they've had that nice 1-2 punch. And we talked about Freeman. He's unlikely to be available, although stranger things have happened. He could show up miraculously by kickoff. But for the most part, you're looking at Phillip Lindsay. And a small stature guy, a guy that had a couple of decent runs against the Chiefs, but in the meantime, in the last few weeks since the Chiefs last saw him, he's broken off a couple of big runs and had some very good games. He can hit the outside edges really well, and he can run inside. We're going to see a play that he's going to be able to show off his acceleration. And whether it's just straight zone blocking or inside, off tackle, those are all areas that he's just got enough punch to accelerate out from behind the line, behind the second level, where maybe it's harder for people to see him. He is a small guy, but something's going on with him that allows him to get that initial acceleration. And once he hits stride, he's got the wheels to make a lot of yardage. It's something the Chiefs have to pay particular attention to. On the ground, as you'll see, that he's got something that the Chiefs have to be wary of there, but he can also catch passes. And I think that's part of their offense that they're going to have to concentrate on. So really, my focus for the day is for the Chiefs to be knowing where Phillip Lindsay is at all times and just keep an eye on him. Number 2, Case Keenum has not been the quarterback that they signed up for in Denver. And what we've seen, that pressure is going to be an important aspect of this game, especially for Breeland Speaks, who didn't get to play a whole lot last time, with D Ford still leading the league in total pressures. Putting Case Keenum in a position to have to get rid of the ball earlier is something that I think is going to help them quite a bit. Now, that's only because under pressure, he has such a terrible quarterback rating. He's number 17 in the league, and honestly, I think that's being a little bit nice to him. He's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns when under pressure, and I think it's a key to this game. And when you take a look at some of the plays, he throws interceptions when he's not pressured. So being able to get in his face, collapse his pocket a little bit more, is going to give the Chiefs just that much more option to get him off of his game. when he can't be an accurate quarterback without the pressure, with someone in his face, it's just going to make it more difficult for him to actually perform in a place like Arrowhead with all the noise and everything else. I think Breeland Speaks might have a chance to get right here because of his matchup with Bowles, who is struggling to say the least. And it's going to be interesting. I think Breeland can make some strides here. We've seen him progress over the last few weeks. I'm very interested in that matchup. Bowles, by the way, is the last of the 2017 draft class for the Denver Broncos to remain on this active roster. Very, very interesting. We're going to talk about the Broncos, their front office, and their drafting habits here in the offseason. Number 3, the Chiefs need to run at the edges of this Bronco defense. What we've seen in the last week since the Chiefs played them in Denver is that there's a history of teams being able to gain yardage on the outside. A little bit of a combination of the way they block it. There's some stretch outside zones that are working. They played some power off tackle stuff. And the big thing, the big takeaway is that consistently the Broncos defense is giving up yardage to the outside. Now, the Chiefs have a plethora of ways to attack this, but what we saw from Todd Gurley in particular was that you can take a long stretch play, zone blocking one direction, and cut it back the other because there's so many ways to attack this. And outside is particularly what the Chiefs do well. Between Kareem Hunt, running outside, running off tackle, especially with those double tight end formations, they have a lot of success there. They've been able to hand it off as well to Sammy Watkins on some tight end arounds, to Tyreek Hill on some end arounds. I think what I'm really hoping to see, looking forward to, is that they go back to that split formation some. I want to see the power pitch. I want to see a couple of fakes and a pitch to the outside to get somebody in space instantly. The outside linebackers are very, very good, but they're attacking outside linebackers. Once you get outside and into a little bit of space on this particular defense, there's a lot of creases. Also, you're able to kind of dip and dunk, and we've seen people take it from the B gap and bounce outside, which, again, lets you have large chunks of yardage that this Chiefs team has been able to find in the latest weeks as Kareem Hunt has really gotten going the last couple of outings. And I think that's something to watch. The fakes, the counters, the pitches are going to be particularly effective against this defense because of their pursuit, and I think that the stretch zones are going to be pretty applicable as well. Now, point number 4, and this is the big key to the game. The Chiefs have got to find a way to deal with the Broncos pass rush. It is, in my opinion, one of the premier units in this league, and we saw what they were able to do against the Chiefs while they were in Denver. The best defensive outing that anyone's put up against the Chiefs to this point in the season is the Broncos. And it's because they can vary what they do. They can play zone, they can play man, and they're able to play with that pass rush. Now, I don't think what we're going to see is what the Patriots and Bengals tried to do, to fake rush, to fake inside blitzes, A-gap blitzes, and then drop 8 into coverage. Clearly, giving up 40-plus points in both those contests is not a blueprint to beat the Chiefs. The only reason the Chiefs lost in New England is because they were playing Tom Brady. That's pretty much it. It's not a way that I think other teams can apply that formula to combating the Chiefs and be successful at it. So while they'll do some, they have to disguise it. And I showed you last time that Simmons in particular can bail out of some robber looks, some down looks, and get to like a cover 2 look where he's actually responsible for half of the deep field. We will see a little bit of that, but I don't think you're going to see a ton of 8-man coverages. Last outing, they sent 5 quite a number of times. I won't say predominantly, but a lot. And that's, I think, when they were most effective in combination. And what you saw in that, making Patrick Mahomes throw left-handed passes, of which he is now 1 for 2, 50%. So if you really want to stack that right-hand side to try to get an overload pressure to drive him out to the left, which was part of their game plan last time, and it was effective to most degrees, I think you're going to find that he's more able to deal with it quickly. I think the Chiefs are going to have a game plan that's going to allow some tighter hot routes so that if he gets in that position, he can get the ball out of his hands faster and not have to run so far away from Von Miller in particular, who has the premier matchup with Mitchell Schwartz. Schwartz is playing at an all-pro level this season, and I think it's gone a little undernoticed, but the game particular against Von Miller, both the last one and this one coming, are the marquee matchups for him during the season. He gets a lot of good pass rushers, but Von Miller is Von Miller for a reason. And he's had good success and good outings against Miller. The question is going to be when the Broncos try to stack it. So, the Denver pass rush has different ways to beat you. And if they pull Chubb, I expect to see a little bit of misdirection with Chubb and Miller on the same side from time to time and let Shane Ray take the opposite. I think that they're going to move it around, and it's going to be a little bit more of a cerebral battle with getting Patrick Mahomes to check the blocking before the snap. We'll see what comes of it. Because in the end of the day, they have the athletes to get to Mahomes, and it's about that scramblability. I don't think they want him outside the pocket, but they want to try to get to him, and that's what happens when you try to flush him. So I want to know what you guys think is the key to this game. And what we're going to do is just drop them in the comments. We'll all go through them, and I try to respond as often as I can, especially if I'm making or editing other videos. You won't hear from me for a while, but I try to get back into the comments. So have a good conversation here. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all your time. I'm going to be live on Sunday evening before Sunday Night Football, kind of like we were a couple of weeks ago. So if you have time, jump on that. We'll do a little bit of couple of talking points, then I'll do all Q&A after that. So we had a great outing last time, but I'd like to get more than that. We had about 500 people. So if you have time, come join us on YouTube Live, and I'll see you then. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.